Islam, 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 and welcome to Moor's Heritage and History School, Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anita Ill, along with my co-host, Ms. Ryan Olive Ill.
Peace and love, love and peace, family. All right.
Peace. And right. RVBey.
Islam, peace and love to all.
And Kuju Azrael.
Islam, peace and hotep, Mars.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace, Mars.
We are all here. We are all here and ready for another installation of Moorish history. I want to just take a minute to thank all of our listeners who listened in last Tuesday. I know it was unusual not to be able to comment, but we have today. It was a special broadcast from near Prince George Corporation near Maryland, and it actually gave us an opportunity to clear up a lot of concepts with the Moors in that area live. So it was interesting, and just like you guys miss commenting and having a voice on the show, we miss talking to you. So here we are back this week for some open dialogue and some more issues to put on the table. But before we do that, I just want to send a big shout out to our internet listeners. Thank you so much for listening. Peace and love going out to the Moors listening over there in Great Britain, South Africa, Japan, the Netherlands, Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba, and areas that we have yet to connect with. The chat room is open. And also, big shout out to our family that calls in every week, Tuesday, and participates via the telephone, filling up the phone lines before the show even starts. Thank you so much for calling in, and we appreciate all the energy, love, and participation that we share, because after all, this is the uniting of the family. And that is, for me, has been brought home more and more as, information just comes my way. So with that, we're going to get into the next portion of our broadcast, which is acknowledging those Moors who have been kidnapped and are currently being held hostage. We have Moors that have been kidnapped by these employees / mercenaries in disguise as police, working for these county corporations, and they're literally kidnapping the people off the street for income. And man, if there was ever a miseducation going on, it is under the guise of these county corporations. We as a people, we have got to wake up out of this fog and take back our lives, not to mention our birthrights, but absolutely our lives. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. So we have first on our list our sister RVBey, kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee. We have Dawood Ill, kidnapped under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Mosmanin Ill, and Kusu Rakush Bey under the purview of Missouri. Athar Patar Amin Rabe under the purview of Ohio. Jeremy Taylor Ill, Cherry Thorne Bay, Jamie Town Brooks Bay, Joseph Tana Day Ill, Kushamir Bunch Ill, Emmanuel Billings Bay, Yasin Khalif Alamin Ill, Michael RVBey, Nodlin Dunlop Bay. Actually, Nodlin Dunlop Bay was actually kidnapped by the Montgomery Corporation, all under the purview of North Carolina. Noble Crisco under the purview of New Jersey. Then we have Messiah Aziz Ill and Crystal Ill, kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer Freehold and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Eldridge Teron Fisher Ill and Marquis Sevion Ill under the purview of Indiana. Solomon Ill Bay and Muni RVBey under the purview of Texas. William Barrett Ill under the purview of Virginia. Bomani Abidwell Ill, kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia. Sherry Bay under the purview of West Virginia. Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California. Victor Eduardo Aguaye Juarez Ill, kidnapped by Holland Corporation under the purview of Georgia. And Patricia and her infant baby, as well as Malik Ill Bay, all kidnapped by Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Those are the Moors that have been kidnapped and are currently being held hostage by corporations under a demand for income. All right. So with that, if you have any family members, brothers, sisters, someone that you know who has been kidnapped and you would like them added to this list, please send their appellation, pre-national appellation, along with the corporation that has kidnapped them and the county state that is that the corporation is under, to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com, and we will add them to the list. All right, finally. I was having a little bit of technical difficulty getting into the chat room myself, but I am finally there. All righty, so let's see. Tonight's broadcast, before I get into that, I just want to let everyone know that there is an attachment. There is a 33-page little dissertation that goes along with this broadcast. If I have your email address, then you got it. If I don't have your email address and you would like a copy of what we will be going over tonight, send an email to MHHS-Eyes-Wide-Open@gmail.com, and in the subject line, ask for the syllabus for tonight's show, and I will send it to you. Alrighty, and I think through everything. So, let's see. Tonight's show, once again, the modern Europeans are at it again. This time, there is a suggestion to create policy and procedure under the guise of law to impose against those Moors who have been alleged to use their religion as immunity against these private foreign corporations that are disguised as government. Join us as we discuss the 33-page document for analysis. Interesting that the document is 33 pages. Are they trying to say something? If you know your science, you know they're trying to say something. I want to read a little bit of this. I am not reading the whole thing because I'm not promoting it, because it is all so frivolous. Once again, it is oh so frivolous. The title of this document, and it has a 2014 stamp date on it, and it's alleging to be volume 15. And it appears to be written possibly by a Caitlin Compari, Compari, and it is entitled, hold on to your seat, The Moorish Science Temple of America and the Legal System, exploring the need to take proactive measures against radical members of an incorporated religion. Now, I want to stop right there, because if you know law, you ought to already, and if you, well, let me just back up a little. If you know law, and if you have been studying the prophet's work, including the FBI files, you know that the prophet didn't incorporate a goddamn thing. Yes, I'm saying it like it is. He didn't incorporate nothing. And if you have ever gone to any Secretary of State, what you have done is you have put them on notice. That's it. That's all you did was put them on notice. But you got to know that these incorporated papers that they're talking about of 1928 is the infiltration. And that was documented in the FBI files by the modern Europeans. They letting us know that we got some infiltrators right within the temple, but did we need the modern Europeans to tell us this? No. Because the prophet told us before he passed on. That's why he said, be careful, some of your own wearing turbans and feathers will put you right back in slavery. So the title of this little essay is letting you know that this is not the Moors proper, not the Moors that's following the prophet's work, because this is for an incorporated religion. Can a religion be incorporated? Can it? Come on now. But I'm going to read a little bit of it because this is so frivolous and ridiculous.
But you know, let me just say this. He said incorporated within the Constitution, but he didn't mean incorporated like a LLC or a nonprofit. You know, he used that, and he's really talking about religious. All right, I just wanted to add that.
Yes. And I mention this because, you know, we have had this discussion on this broadcast where we've had Moors come alleging that the prophet established the Moorish Science Temple religion under a statute of the United States of America. That is so ridiculous. So they make reference of that same statute in this document. So I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm not going to read all of it because it really is letting you know that these modern Europeans, they so know the gig is up that they try to go against the same laws, the very laws that was written to protect them. So if you're going to cut us, you're going to cut yourself. All right, so it starts out, religious freedom and a fair judicial system are two distinct rights that Americans have expected and enjoyed for decades. Individuals have a right to practice their religion freely, and the judicial system is in place to maintain a lawful and safe environment. The union of religious freedom and the judicial system can be less than harmonious. This is exceptionally true when individuals defend their illegal actions with their religious beliefs and denounce state and federal laws in the United States. Now, let's just stop right there. There is no state laws, because according to the very Constitution, which is the supreme law of this land, states can't write no damn law.
Oh, well.
And the only laws that have been written and can be written, and it's still on the books, and hasn't gone, really has not gone past the 13th Bill of Rights, is the American Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. So if you're going to talk about a federal law, of the United States, and you got to be clear which United States you're talking about. You talking about the United States of America, or are you talking about the United States of Al-Marak, which encompasses the United States of America? Let's be clear when we're talking. Don't be vague. Because if you're going to make accusations, you got to put all your cards on the table. And let's talk about this illegal actions. What illegal actions are you referring to? Because I read the whole 33 pages, and I didn't see no illegal actions that was talked about as it relates to war. Because in order for there to be an illegal action, there has to be an injured party, flesh and blood, not fictitious. What is the solution when their exercise of religious freedom is there's the judicial system and harms its officers? Now, what religious freedom would impair the judicial system when the judicial system is written to protect the rights and liberties of the flesh and blood being? And what officers are you talking about? See, this is just page 1, and already it's very vague. Law is specific. And if you're going to throw things on the table, you got to put everything on there. Like if you're going to say an officer, then you have to also qualify that because officers are elected officials, not hired. So we already know where they're going. And if we already know where they're going, we already know it's about their illegal demand of income that pays their salary. Does one of these distinct and imperative rights take a backseat to the other? At some point, the answer must be yes. What, when? There's a lot of feedback. I don't know who it's coming from. Somebody don't have their phone muted. In order to combat the criminal acts performed by radical members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the answer is now. No, let me just say this. The fact that they are targeting members of a specific religion is absolutely unconstitutional, and they put the people on the table. Who are you after? The members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's unconstitutional. The Moorish Science Temple of America is an incorporated religion with noble beginnings, not incorporated. Over time, radicals broke away from the Moorish Science Temple of America and began exploiting both the faith and state and federal laws. Now, I'm just going to keep on reading. Prevention methods.
Well, hold on a second. Let me just interject something. When they say the Moorish Science Temple of America is incorporated, there are some out there who have incorporated under the U.S.A. So they are obviously talking about that.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. Prevention methods should be taken to stop the illegal actions of these radical groups. Although such measures raise the risk of religious infringement, proactive measures must be taken instead of the recent reactive measures. The ever-present concern is striking an acceptable balance between religious freedom and law enforcement. Now we know who they're talking about. Law enforcement. They are talking about these modern Europeans who are simply employed mercenaries of the county corporation who have no lawful right and is enforcing no law. They're enforcing policies and procedures that they come up with on a whim that violate the very reason the Constitution was put in place. The very reason. But where a balance is not possible, a line must be drawn. The point where proactive measures are necessary, regardless of religious infringement. That is the very reason these modern Europeans was allowed to come over here, and we bankroll them and sponsor them as an independent nation, which we are catching hell for doing to this very day. This line is not simple to draw. Extreme cases, though, are clearer than others. This is an extreme case. The radical groups have strayed from the original positive message of the Moorish Science Temple of America and its founders. Although the Moorish Science Temple of America is an incorporated religion that deserves the protections of religious freedom, the radicals stemming from the faith do not. Now, they just made a qualification stating that, okay, we're going to accept this incorporated Moorish Science Temple of America, and we're going to protect them. But all others that are alleged to be religion, we're not protecting them. The Constitution says there shall be no religious test. And the first Bill of Rights, it protects your religious freedom across the board. That means that I don't need you to validate whether I am a religion or not. I am because I say I am, and you don't even have the right to ask me, well, what is that religion's name? You can't even ask me that. That's how protected I am. But guess what? That protection was written and documented not just for me, but for you as well. Now, if you're going to question my religion as valid, I have the same right to question yours, because I know under the Moorish Science Temple of America, I didn't go all across the world killing and murdering and pillaging, and that's documented. So I can put on this record on the table that you absolutely don't deserve to be called a religion after all of the crimes that you've done all over the world and continue to do to this very day. So let's be clear. You don't want to put this on the table, not with a competent, qualified Moor.
Word.
Then these crazy people want to talk about the radical group, claim their authority from the Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty. What the hell is that? What is the Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty? What is that? There is no such freaking treaty called Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty. It is the
Quick interjection.
It is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. What?
Quick interjection. If you do your research, in about 2007, some Moors put together a Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty for Moorish Americans. So you know that the people who are writing this are doing research. They're bumping into information about Moors, Moorish, sovereignty, nation, judicial,
Absolutely.
whatever. And they're putting together their little campaign, which lets us know that they know. Do not get in your mind that when we say Moors, we have to explain something to them.
Exactly.
That's what happened, though. And if I can say, Kujo, what you're talking about, it also shows that they didn't follow or study enough, because the prophet said, I've given you everything you need. So there was, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. And, of course, proclaim means putting it in written form, the same thing. But, for them to even write some Moorish American treaty, like that means that they didn't have any faith, knowledge, or they just didn't know what they were doing. And so now these Europeans grab that stuff when what we ought to be enforcing is that which is already there for us to enforce. Like, we'll do everything and anything and make up stuff except to do what we're supposed to do, which is to enforce the law. And he said, I brought you enough to save an entire nation. Because I didn't know that it had occurred, but that's what they're talking about there. And you know what? I mean, even though they're acting however they're acting. They know good and damn well that whatever that was they put together. Like, Cujo, was that from a temple perspective, or was that just from a group? Which was the document that? No, I'm asking Cujo if what he's talking about, because I haven't seen it, is from a temple, a group perspective.
No, that's more.
Oh, it wasn't from a temple.
Yeah,
it wasn't from a temple.
Yeah, they're the United States of America citizens, so it wouldn't be from them. Yeah.
It wouldn't be from a temple, because one of the things that they make mention of in this document is that the temples want no part of law.
Yeah.
They're good Moorish citizens who pay their taxes, have their driver's license.
Yeah.
No, the temples want no part of law. They're going to pay their taxes, and they're going to get their driver's license, and they're going to register their property. Yes, they already made the distinction to a degree.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, right, they're saying that if you're part of the Moorish Science Temple Incorporated, who is on record or as paying their taxes, being good USA citizens, and paying their taxes, paying their driver's license, and registering their property, if you are part of that faction, then we're coming for you if you think that you're going to disobey the law. Those are the ones that they're coming after. See, and that's the problem. And they even say that the temples are split. They're saying it. And then they're also talking about the Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty, which Cujo is saying it could possibly be this 2007 stuff that was written, but then they start talking about it was for ships and pirates.
Well, wait a minute. You mean that they're saying that the treaty was for ships? Read there,
Yes, they're saying that treaty. Now, see, they're mixing apples and oranges, because if they're talking about this 2007 Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty, because they don't put no date on this now. You know, you have to put a date because law is specific. There is no Moorish American Peace and Friendship Treaty from 1786. It is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, and these people are not doing their research, all right, because right in the congressional record, it says, slow your roll, modern Europeans. We cannot talk about a treaty of peace and friendship, this is in 1780, until you have first confirmed with Great Britain that they have relinquished you and you are independent. And to have a discussion about that at this stage is like, what is this? Trying to furnish a house?
Trying to furnish a house before the foundation has been laid. It's right there in the first line of the John Adams analysis letter. So let me ask you this. So what you're trying to say is that for all those who think the treaty has nothing to do with Moors, you know, like they need to read that's in congressional records so they can, I mean, I don't know how they could think that. It says Moors and Christians, but one of the reasons that they think that is because they don't know who the original slaves were, and so they look at things like, oh, well, you know, the Moors were started slave trade, and they were, every time they see the word slave or servant, they put themselves in it. So now the same Moors, conscious or unconscious, are looking at it from that perspective, not realizing that, yep, Moors sure did start the slave trade, but it was with Slavics, it was with the Europeans, so they don't know that.
Yes, exactly. Now, and then one other reference they make in this document is that, when we go back and look at this treaty, this unspecified treaty that they're making mention of, all right, they say, well, it only had a lifespan of 50 years. They need to go and read some more because that's the other part that these modern Europeans have not done.
Before you go past that, I just want to make sure it's really clear with the people, because we've had people email us that, and we've had people go out running on the fact that it says that every 50 years the Europeans can apply to make adjustments to it, and that's every 50 years. It's an ongoing treaty right now to this day, but as you said, they don't study enough to get it straight. Yep. They just run with anything.
Exactly. Now, this treaty, it like Ron said, it has to be, it was resealed after a change was made, I want to say 1836. And it is a perpetual treaty.
50 years later, and the only difference, you can make your comment, but the only difference is that the Sultan had passed for him, and his son, Hashim Il, was in his stead. And if you go on the site, on the Moorish Responsibility and Abilities page, we took right out of the treaty how they were begging him, it's right there, you should do a play on it, begging him to honor the treaty that his father had established, because his father had the position of Sultan at that time, and they were begging him. It's right there. So I just wanted to add it.
Yes, absolutely. And one last thing, because a lot of people don't know this, but if you go to the United Nations, all right, on the United Nations, it lists the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1780-1636, and it says in force. Now, why is that so significant? The moment that treaty is no longer in force, every constitution, treaty, agreement afterwards is null and void. The only way anything can be enforced is if that treaty is in force. But the minute it goes out of force, the minute it's void, everything is void. Everything. That treaty is the modern Europeans' protection. And once that treaty goes down, all bets are off. And it goes back to wars across all over the world, snatching loading their cargo up off of the sea, which, by the way, they've already done. They've already started doing that, even though it's in force. You know why? Because we're the ones that was protecting them. But they have effectively put us to sleep. Some of our own people are scared to even, go after these modern Europeans, and I'm not promoting it. But I'm saying our people is scared to discipline these modern Europeans, and that's what the American Constitution is all about, disciplining out of order children. That's what it's about. But let some of these modern Europeans leave from this border. See if all of them don't come back. Because we are absolutely asleep. We're trying to, merge in with these modern Europeans, but our brothers and sisters outside of this continent, they are not that way, not all of them. That's why there's some parts of South America modern Europeans can't go and return. So let's finish reading this. Federal court. Wait. From the treaty, they assert complete immunity from the state and federal court after they commit illegal acts. Now, once again, law must be specific. What are these illegal acts? Because if there is no flesh and blood being that has put in a claim, there has been no illegal act. None. If you're traveling on the land of your ancestors and you don't have a driving instrument or a registry, that is not a crime. And there is case law that says that. But even if there was a case law that says that, the Constitution supports that. Because everybody is supposed to be free from corporate infringement. And there's nothing on this land that says a corporation can impede your right to travel because you didn't give them income. That is absolutely unconstitutional. But we have to also look at this. Why is this such a pain in these modern European side? Why is it such a big problem? Because it is the stealing of the income. It's how they receive a paycheck. It is the stealing of the income that the people make from their energy. that allows them to pay a mortgage, a car note, send Sally and Jane to university so that they can learn how to infringe on the people's rights like their parents did and live off of us. It's a big issue for them. But it's an issue that has to come to an end because it was never supposed to be. That's part of why the Constitution was written. In addition to this judicial response, proactive measures from the legislature may also be a necessary response. A combination of judicial and legislative measures may adequately combat the radical groups stemming from the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then it goes into the Moorish Science Temple of America, from religious freedom to religious radicals. Now, let me just say this. Let's talk about this from religious freedom to religious radicals. When these modern Europeans came over here, they couldn't even worship freely without losing their heads and being tortured. Today they are the ones that have evolved into religious radicals. They have a courtroom that is set up like a church. And you go and you sit in the pew and you wait for pastor to call you up. And like the father that they imitate, scold you and reprimand you. And if that's not religious radical, from religious freedom to religious radical, I don't know what is.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. All you got to do is read the Indica Terra Divina, which means it's divine intent.
Exactly.
And it's in there and he's talking about coming over here as they mark the geographical place where they're speaking, where they found brown-skinned people, dark-skinned people. They use that terminology, and it says in there that if they didn't convert to their form of Christianity and Jesus, their Lord and Savior, that they could kill them because God said it was okay. So that's religious radicism, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is why distinctions must be made. Now, they reference two Moors who went and did something that was absolutely out of order, premature, and ought not to have been done. But what they did, in terms of claiming the land, it was not unlawful, especially when when the property has been abandoned. And here's the other part to this. Real estate agents today wait for property to go abandoned because people can't come up with the fraud of the mortgage. They can't come up with the income that the whole mortgage fraud demands, and they just abscond in the night and leave everything. And then these real estate agents will wait about a year or so, and then they go in and clean it up and sell it. Why were they able to do that? Because they abandoned the location, and they go in and they start the whole mortgage fraud all over again. These people, foreigners. Now, the silent partner in this whole deal is the county corporation, because you can bet that they get some of this income, and that's why they will send you a demand for income talking about, oh, you got to pay us property taxes or we're going to come and take our stuff. Regardless of whether you're paying this fraud of a mortgage or not, we're going to take your stuff. You got two people robbing you. You got the whole mortgage process robbing you, and then you got the county corporation robbing you. You're doomed to fail. But now you got people who realize that they could have gone in, cleaned up the place, and lived in peace, just like the real estate agents. That's a crime. But what the real estate agents in conjunction with the counties are doing, that's not a crime. You see, one of the things that us as a people, we need to realize is there is nowhere documented that says that when you go and live anywhere on the land, you have to go to a private filing corporation and make a record. There's nothing that says that. Nowhere. And go back prior to the 1600s. Go back prior to the 1600s before the modern Europeans came here. And what you're going to find is that people, nothing was ever being sold. We didn't have to work because this was a land free for everybody. This is our ancestral estate. We never had to buy anything because it was ours through blood. So there was never a need to work. We were just simply creative beings. We created things. That's why we were merchants. We wasn't selling no land. We was creating things, going around the world as merchants, showing our skills. But never was we selling land. That's why you will never find any deed prior to the 1600s because there was never a need for it. We understood it was family estate. And when you moved in or you built something, you were free to do so. And we need to recognize that and stop running to these foreign corporations talking about record this, register this. You can see the purpose of your own bloodline, your own nationality when you run to a foreigner, a corporation at that. You defeat the whole purpose. So we have these Moors that don't, get things prematurely. And what they did wasn't necessarily wrong. Well, how they went about doing it might have been wrong, might have been premature. But what they did didn't create any illegal actions. There was no crime. No flesh and blood person was injured. So that can't be the issue. Then what they do is they go and pull up a case law where somebody is alleging that, because of their nationality, they don't have jurisdiction, which could very well be true because they're referencing a county corporation speaking on behalf of the state, kidnapping the flesh and blood being, holding them hostage in the prison. Now, that person, according to the information that I researched, little research that I did, they did in fact harm the flesh and blood being. So there is a valid claim, but it is not for a corporation to bring it to the table. But they're mixing apples and oranges. They're trying to say that this person that has a valid claim, there's a flesh and blood injured person, is compared to this Moor over here alleging to be a member of a Moorish Science Temple Incorporated with no flesh and blood injured party. They're trying to compare the two. Then they go into, hold on, this one I love. I have to read this. According to several public officials, I'm going to read that again. According to several public officials, quote, police officers, they are not public officials. Those are hired employees. Police officers, alleged judges, and other public officials have to take time off from work or charge the lawyers to untangle their land records. What land records can a foreigner have on this soil? And so they have to take off time from their work just like we have to when they infringe on our liberty and we're supposed to feel sympathetic for them? I don't think so. Although the filing of these liens for outrageous sums or other seemingly frivolous claims might appear laughable, it is nightmarish for those filed against. Really. So when you kidnap people because they're traveling on the land, exercising their constitutionally treaty secured right to travel on the land. That wasn't a frivolous claim. and the nightmare that those people had to go through, that wasn't privilege? That wasn't nightmarish? When you kidnap people and you throw them in these dungeons and then you say you can't come out unless you give me some income, that's not nightmarish? We're supposed to feel sympathy for employees hired to protect the corporation? Really? Despite the radical claims, the Moorish Science Temple of America vehemently denies any association with these radicals. There's your disclaimer from the infiltrators. The members of the faith, the members of the faith hold that the Moorish Science Temple of America's founder, initial purpose, and current goals are far different from the radicals' current criminal acts. Now, you know that's infiltration because the Prophet started as a civic organization teaching civics, which is law, to help the people be civilians. The definition of civilians is one who is knowledgeable of law. So if you know the law, that means that no one can pull your coattail, no one can trick you, no one can fool you. But these people here of the Moorish Science Temple of America vehemently denies any association with their brothers and sisters. That right there is infiltrators. Then it goes into its founder, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple and its beginning. You know, and some of it is accurate and some of it is not. But what it lets you know is these people know full well who the hell you are as Moors. They just went on record. They let you know. You declared that people of color were not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians. Rather, the people of color were Moorish. So, there you go. He's telling you, yeah, we know who you are. Of course you know who we are, because you imitate us.
You know what? I don't know where you're going continuing, but there's one thing that I just wanted to say in that, I don't know if you were going to say this next, where it says that he is a national, are you going to go there with the guy that they're talking about, which is Finch and Flowers, the same old crap several years ago? We wrote an article about that, which is on the, what page is that? Food for Thought page, to rebut what they were saying. So they're still at it, trying to do whatever. But he says, they say in there that Finch is a national expert on, is an expert on national, what do they call him? Because I really want to say, what do they call him?
Like an expert on national sovereignty.
It says he's an expert on
yes.
Okay. An expert. Now, I just want to say this. I just want to drop this, and that's it. If he's an expert on national sovereignty, and this is a European Finch, first question should be asked is, what is his nationality, right? That's number one. Number two, how does he get to be an expert on nationality and sovereignty, I think it says, when he's neither a national here, nor does he have sovereignty here? How is that possible? But ask him his nationality, since he's an expert on nationality. He'll probably say he's Irish.
Yes.
Don't you buy anything,
absolutely. Man. I wanted to. You know what I didn't. Usually, what I do is I will print out stuff and highlight stuff. But I was like, this isn't even worth printing. This isn't even worth me spending the finance to print it on my paper using up my ink. But I mean, it's like this is not. It's like shooting. This is not even worth it. But this modern European who is a former employee of one of the county corporations, who subsequently appears to have been fired, now no longer has a job and is scurrying around trying to figure out how he can collect income all of a sudden pops up as a national expert of sovereigns. He's now the national, self-proclaimed national expert of sovereigns. He is we call it, he's more like, what would you call him, a slanderer. That's slander, because what he's doing is slanderizing, and so he's an expert at slanderizing, because everything that he has put out now, and they've created this document with footnotes and everything, but they're mixing apples and oranges. They telling half truths. The references are so out of order. The assumptions are just that. They're assumptions, because if you really want to know what's what, that's all you have to do is go to the congressional records. It's all there. Then they tried to mix in this case law between Toronto versus New Jersey and Bay versus United States Department of Homeland Security Immigration, which is a corporation. That's not part of the government. That's a corporation. In order for them to be valid, they have to have some delegation. And, you know, just because the federal government will contract to a to a corporation doesn't make them federal. So they make several references to case law that has gone on in the county meeting room. Now, the worst thing that I can say, well, the one thing that I can say that hurt us as a Moor, which we are just now learning, is that these issues, these claims that was brought by any Moor was unfortunately brought into the meeting room of a private foreign corporation disguised as a judge, when it also has been brought into a lawfully court, at least at very minimum a state court. And then you can bump it up into the Supreme Court, and if necessary, take it all the way to the United States Supreme Court. But also, I already know, because we're in touch-up mode, that the claims that were put forth was asking for a judgment when these things have already been decided. We're asking them to make a determination all over again in the lower court when these things have already been decided. So since
okay, so hold on. So that means by doing that, by knowing these things are already decided, that is what is meant by enforcing the Constitution.
Yes.
Not waiting to go in there for them to make a decision that's already been made. It's already done.
Yes. Yes. Yes, absolutely. There's this document here. It is talk about frivolous. You want an example? You really want people. Like I said, if you're not on email and you would like to review this document, send an email to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open so that you can analyze it for yourself. And you will have first-hand knowledge of just what frivolous is. Because this is an excellent example of frivolous. Because like I said, these people are lobbying in the state court, which has no legislative power. Read the Constitution. The state has no authority to write law. They only have authority to execute the law that already has been written. And there has been no new laws written since 1861 lawfully, because that's when we left the seat. So the law that is already on the table is the only law of this land, which is the supreme law of this land. So these people are lobbying to overturn the first Bill of Rights. Problem. If you're planning to cut me, know that you're going to be cutting yourself first. Because every single thing that they do is done under the Christian crusade. And if you don't know what that means, read, like Ross said, read the Encyclopedia Divina. It's right there. Islam.
Islam, peace and love, family. I just want to give my respectful opinion on this based off of facts. First off, I was reading it, but I only have 12 pages. I'm pretty sure it's nothing more or less than just more frivolous claims, as you said. But one thing I wanted to emphasize on...
Oh, that should be double-sided. It should be double-sided. You should have all of it. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right. Nah, I counted 12 with the double sides, but it's all good.
All right.
Because it didn't take me long to want to stop reading this. But because it's just like frivolous, as was said. But I felt like, there's some things to say about it. One of the main points that stood out to me, among many, was this phrase from page 1 going into page 2. Where it says, although the Moorish Science Temple of America is an incorporated religion that deserves the protections of religious freedom, and then it goes on to say, the radicals stemming from the faith do not. That in itself is definitely unconstitutional and discriminatory. But I'm like, well, said the radicals stemming from it do not. So I'm looking like, all right, well, what's the etymology of radical, right? And, of course, something I didn't expect, but it says that a radical, or radical means having roots, Latin radex, from the root, pertaining to the root or origin, original, fundamental, as a radical, right? So the etymology of the word radical means, having roots. Now, she's saying that this incorporation called the Moorish Science Temple deserves protection of religious freedom, but those having roots do not. This is how I'm taking it, right? And it's like, hold on. That's definitely an infringement on the First Amendment and unconstitutional. But when you look at it from what Noble Drew Ali said, he said it would take you 50 years to even recognize what I brought you. So this thing was supposed to expand from, oh, yeah, we got lessons, that say we love Jesus, to, actually executing and enforcing these lessons. Not just from Yahshua, because it's like, even on the back of the 101s, it says that the authority is derived from the Holy Quran. Right? Now, just going back into the so-called radical and the roots of things, I'm looking like, well, who is this that's, trying or attempting to go into the origins of the Moorish Science Temple of America or the Old Canaanite Temple, because she mentioned that in there. Like, who are these? I never heard before. So I did a little research, and it comes up that this is a student of Rutgers University, which happens to be an extension of, quote-unquote, the state of New Jersey. And one thing for me, being close to the area, it's like, not to keep anything limited or say that it's valid, but I read the New Jersey State Constitution before, and I'm like, she has a lot of nerve, or whoever co-wrote this has a lot of nerve to actually try to go in on religious freedom and say that some people deserve it and some people don't, when they were fleeing from justice. So this was my correlation with the concept of a Rutgers student, right, relative to the state of New Jersey, which was incorporated in 1947. And I'm going this angle because from reading this, they tried to get into, the origins of Moorish science with a false premise. So when you talk about the roots or radicals, go to the root of the state of New Jersey as far as religious freedom is concerned. And here in the preface of the quote-unquote state of New Jersey Constitution, which does not supersede the law of the land, it is inferior and subordinate. I'm just saying, being as though these are students, and it kind of reminded me of what Noble Drew Ali said when he said in religious controversy that the longer the student stays in these schools, and they'll defend jumping through their hoops more. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I'm a teacher reading this report, this is a definite F. Definite F. Especially when you look at the law of the land and the fact that they're supposed to have a certain connection here. But anyway, it says in the preamble of the New Jersey State Constitution, and I'm not saying this is superior, but the fact that a student could come up with this subject, trying to circumscribe individuals or people's religious freedom, it just goes to show not only that it's frivolous, but how true it was when Prophet Noble Drew Ali says the longer the student stays in the schools, the more they'll defend jumping through the hoop. This is my correlation. So it says a constitution agreed upon by the delegates of the people of New Jersey in convention, begun at Rutgers University. Mind you, the person who wrote this is a student at Rutgers University. All right, so it goes to show how far they fell from the rule, because it goes on to say the State University of New Jersey in New Brunswick on the 12th day of June and continued to the 10th day of September in the year of their Lord. Now, mind you, what Lord are they talking about? Don't they associate that with religion, right? All right, so in the year of their Lord, 1947, it says, we the people of the state of New Jersey, not the United States, not the American people, but the people of the state of New Jersey, grateful to Almighty God for the civil and religious liberty. All right, now, keep in mind, this is a separate political jurisdiction from Moors, even speaking in the context of the treaty. But just doing the history on the state of New Jersey and what type of students that are being produced to even have certain things, brought up like this, it says, or keep in mind that, quote-unquote, New Jersey, and this is not just in the area, but before it was called New Jersey, it was called New Caesar, right? And even that was making a Christian stamp on religion in that aspect. And then that alone reminded me of an excerpt that I read in The Light of Egypt, which still correlates to quote-unquote religion, and it's still relative to this article from this student defending jumping through the hoops. It says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and unto God that which is God's. Only as you learn to do that can you be just, and only when just can curses or blessings be rightfully administered. That's page 181 of The Light of Egypt. So that's what it correlated to for me. Being as though Moors are separating from the Roman or the Caesar or, the Italians or whatnot. This is the conflict that comes up because it's the fall of Rome for real, So that was my correlation from a prophecy fulfilled simply by just reading this. Simply by just reading this, it just goes to show what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said was true, and the avalanche of lies he was speaking about is definitely for real. All right, it's another point that stood out to me in this so-called report on page 1. It says where the ever-present concern is striking an acceptable balance between religious freedom and law enforcement, but where a balance is not possible, a line must be drawn, the point where proactive measures are necessary regardless of religion infringement. I'm like, that's just ruthless. You know, that's disrespectful because, you know, what's this supposed to be? Like our next district judge or, you know, county superior court judge? Like, who is this the mind state that is being bred for those who claim to be dealing with law? I don't think it's nothing new. It's just, you know, they're coming out about it now. And they mentioned something about taking legislative actions. I just wanted to quote this from John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, number 128, preliminary book. It says, those laws are immutable, which are founded on the laws of nature, and if ever altered by men, are not binding, because the laws of God are superior to all human laws. So you take, for example, something basic Noble Drew Ali left us in the 101s, where he says, you know, our holy day is Friday because it was the day man was formed in flesh, and the day he departed out of flesh. And then in the prayer or whatnot, it says, and ascended to his God Allah, right? But what I'm saying is back then it sounded like, oh, okay, we're just going to celebrate on Fridays. But when you get into the cosmological connection, which is true religion, you know what that's saying, you know, as far as those being accounted for as the first divine beings manifested in the flesh on the earth plane, being the Moorish women, right, and us being descended from that. So when you look at this and you look at reports like this, what I see is them using the same old strategy of divide and conquer, whereas they're trying to say that, you know, people in a certain group deserve it and people in another group don't deserve it, and this, that, and the third. That's definitely a violation of liberty. First Amendment has no standing in the court of law. It goes deeper than anybody can interject themselves in. You look at liberty of conscience is the right to think for yourself what to you is religious. Also, I wanted to add on this reference from Thomas M. Cooley's Constitutional Limitations, Volume 1, where this goes in upon restraints upon the free exercise of religion. It says, according to the dictates of the conscience, it says, no external authority is to place itself between the finite and the infinite, or the infinite, all right, especially where you're seeking to render your homage as due. That's not a right that belongs to any particular group. It's a birthright that belongs to everybody because, yeah, indeed, all due respect, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science in the old Canaanite temple was, according to the Gregorian calendar, established in the 1900s. But the concept of religious freedom predates that by centuries. As a matter of fact, different timelines. So that's an ancient birthright. There's been many wars fought behind that birthright, you know, which is why when you look at the Bills of Rights, first thing first, you know, let's get this clear. If we're going to have peace, you talk about centuries of wars between Moors and Christians, Christian Crusades, Spanish Inquisition, all of these things, you know, were definitely relative to a major part of history, especially with Christians in the historical context of you know, its origins, in the origins of Christianity, being for their earthly salvation, and them trying to impose it on us. I just think it's kind of wild because you got the picture of the Pope praying to a Moorish Madonna, and then you have Moors, you know, idolizing the European Jesus, etc. It's a lot of things that has been reversed. But as we go back to that ancient state of mind of our foremothers and forefathers, this is my perspective on it. What this woman is basically reporting and trying to put it in a negative light, in a flowery way, if you will, is basically what you call in law a conflict of personal laws. And when I say that, I mean it from the perspective of the Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary of Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, the 5th edition, not the 4th edition. The 5th edition, page 271. And the definition of conflict of personal laws is term used to describe conflicts within a particular state arising from application of general law to racial or religious groups which have their own laws. All right? So it's going to show that there's a certain autonomy in religion. There is, in fact and indeed, which is why that's first thing first. They can't, separate that in an unconstitutional law. It's definitely not a law. So what they're realizing now, being as though Moors woke up and are enforcing the Constitution in every aspect possible, leaving nothing out, is that for these so-called, judicial systems or whatnot, there's an undeniable conflict of personal laws, especially when you invoke the First Amendment. I think it is a major reason why not only did Noble Drew Ali say in the Divine Warning to declare your free national name and religion in the same sentence, because there's a clear diversity, and claiming Christianity could be dangerous if you don't know the historical context. Not to knock anybody's faith. But also one thing I wanted to point out, being as though this is from the Rutgers Journal of Law and Religion, right? It says that, speaking of Moors, not in the Moor Science Temple, it says they use the faith to assert that land instruments such as mortgages are not valid and that local laws do not have to be obeyed. Now, what I'm saying is this. There's a lot of reasons, there's a diversity based off of religion, but you don't even have to assert religion for a concept like a mortgage. Understand? Because we don't need any religious text to simply just know the etymology of mortgage is dead pledge. With that said, definitely see the Mortgage Myth page, RVBeypublications.com. So, enforcing the law, there's definitely multiple aspects, religion being one of them, but I see this as an attack on the divine and national side of the movement. That's how I see this, respectively. And if, it's frivolous indeed. This is, from the 12 pages that I have, if this is in any fashion what's being taught, there's a lot of things that need to be reconsidered, a lot of prophecies that have been fulfilled in the same light. But, again, I just wanted to add on this last thing before I yield the floor. And on the note where she was saying that legislative action may need to be taken, just keep in mind, this is from, and not that we needed this to say this, because you could also see Article 6 of the Constitution, which that's the binding law, which is inclusive of the treaties, etc. But reference to source of law, John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, page 26, number 103. It says, an unconstitutional law is one made in contravention of the requisition of the Constitution. Requisitions of the Constitution. And for that reason, it's ipso facto void, because the Constitution has greater force than any law, it being the law of the land as already observed. And again, that's John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, number 109. So with that being said, it's like there's nothing they can say or do that can void out the First Amendment. It's already established. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. But see, I think what it is that now we're waking up to the fact that dogma has been substituted for religion. It's causing more of a problem for them because we're waking up to what true religion is. So 50 years ago, you know, like you might have, let's just say, for example, 50 years ago, 90% of the people, and this might not be the accurate timeline, but 90% of the people thought true religion was going to church on Sunday or going to the mosque on Friday, etc. You know what I mean? But now we're waking up to the fact, no, this is the age of Emmanuel, of Allah in there. You are true religion. Just know yourself. That's what it is. And that aspect is scary for them because this is, you got to remember the Constitution, the essence of it comes from divine law. So when they see Moors waking up to divine law, it's scary for them because I don't want to say it's scary. They just know what time it is. And, again, here comes the avalanche of lies. They can't confine the constitutional aspect of religious freedom to just, you know, the case of Lanes Bay, etc., where Moors were freely congregating, you know, and just say, you know, that is a bias and unconstitutional to stop that, you know, especially for a religious purpose or any purpose. But, you know, when you become the I am of the divine beings that was manifested in, or however you see yourself from that divine origin, you know what I mean? Like you're on the frequency or the wavelength of the I am, the true religion, not, you know, what they say you are as far as, you know, the all-cap straw, things of that nature. The fact that, you know, sometimes we communicate with them, we're not even using their calendar as far as the date. You know what I'm saying? That's true religion. That's true religion, or a respective reflection of it, you know, in your civil affairs or political affairs. You know, when they see that, they know that we know what time it is. And, you know, I don't know, I just think that it's something that, like she said, they can't ignore, you know. 90% of people might have thought, you know, religion was worshiping Jesus or, you know, praying to an idol. It's beyond that now. So, with that said, I respectively yield the floor in conjunction with the fact that the First Amendment prohibits any alterations to anybody's liberty of conscience, like, or what they deem for themselves religious. And indeed, there's no prevention to take except for to respect that aspect. So that was my take on it from that particular aspect. And, oh, my fault, one more thing. The fact that, like you said, you know, they're saying that people are using their religion to defend illegal actions, but that's already a prejudice and bias because, you know, how can you just come to the conclusion that something is illegal because of, you know, corporate Christian codes today, for example, like, and I hope this is not a bad example, but it is a true and valid one, whereas they have general, now we coming back around, everything is coming back around full cycle, where things that were considered illegal for certain generations, like, you know, marijuana and things of that nature, they never were unlawful, but there was people who would claim that, look, this is a part of my religion and will be treated accordingly because that was their claim. You can't supersede that claim, not on any man-made laws. So intention is everything, and with that being said, when we look at the Bill of Rights, remember, first thing first, there for a reason. In those particular bills. Fine.
Islam.
You said Islamic state. I was muted too. I just wanted to say this. The person who sent this to me. The person who sent this to me, I'm not going to, I don't know. I didn't ask them if it was all right for me to mention them, so I'm not going to because I won't do that. You know, it might be all right, but I did email them and tell them we're going over it tonight because they sent it to say, look, review this. This is, you know, you got to look at this. Look at what they're saying. And I know that they sent it knowing that it was errors in it and knowing that it was, you know, incorrect. But the thing is, and it's just like that poverty, what is it called, poverty point law report that they put out every so many years. I mean, they have so much misinformation, and this is just really an extension of that. Maybe you connect it with it. Some of this information is in that. Who are they? Who are they? That's the first question. You know, to even make these determinations. And clearly, like you said, everything they're saying is frivolous. They're showing that they really do not know law. But they will, I think it was Finch and Flowers, or was it Finch, one of them? Actually went out. Well, both of them, they went out to train, check who they went to train, counties, on how to quote-unquote deal with Moors. Isn't that something? Crazy.
Yeah.
But like you said, they're losing. They feel like they're losing something because he got sued in, what was it, North Carolina. He's one of the ones that got sued from the people for violating their rights. They're like, oh, my gosh, what are we going to do? We got to do something. You know, but they don't have the authority to do anything.
Right.
Yes,
yes.
That's type hateful, too.
All right.
You know? It's type hateful.
What? It's
no,
what?
I'm saying it's hateful.
Oh, hateful, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like the opposite of love, hateful.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it is, because to single out people and exercise, I mean, because you got to remember, like Anna E was bringing up as well, you know, they went all over the world, basically, save a few places, and conquered in the name of Christianity, and said this was religion, you know, manifest destiny, etc., things of that nature. You know, so if you talk, like, again, if you talk radical and you're talking about roots, you know, you have to understand that they have extremist roots with what they call their religion, etc. I thought that was the last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Wow. And, wow, it's really interesting. As another thing, one other thing, as far as terminologies and etymology, when you said that with the radicals, those who are at roots, they're showing you that they're against those who are at roots, and they do the same thing in the Encyclopedia Divina when they call the people pagans. And a lot of us don't know what that means. It means one who really treats of the earth, grows food in the earth, respects the earth, and we have it as if we even, a lot of us use that terminology as if it's some inferior thing. Oh, they're just pagans. You know, they listen to this European tell them that when they're talking about those who have been given dominion over the earth, and supposedly they're Christians, and it says so right there in the beginning, you know, and those who grow food in the earth, et cetera, like that. But you can see the Europeans don't care too much. The modern Europeans don't care much about growing food. They want to grow stuff that is filled with stuff that with chemicals and all kinds of things to actually literally kill you before you're 70 years old, if you make it that far. So it's interesting that you brought up the terminology. I heard before.
Yes, yes. I think this is quite an interesting discussion, and I think it will require all of us to, you know, do some analysis of this document, but also, you know, look at it for what it is. These modern Europeans who have been collecting income from the people. Remember now, they do not produce a product or a service. And the last time I checked, if you're collecting income and you're not producing a product or a service, that is extortion, and it falls under racketeering. Now, somebody might be like, well, they are protecting the service. They're keeping us safe. No, 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 no. Tallahassee versus staff state for the record as law that they are there to protect corporations. So we, the people, we're being compelled to give them income to protect corporations, not us. That is absolutely unconstitutional, and it is racketeering. And because the people across the nation are waking up to this fact, these modern Europeans are running scared. They're trying to implement all sorts of processes to prevent the people from bringing to national and international attention that they have been stealing from the people and going so far as to murdering the people for profit. This is about to blow up. The Pope came here and told them flat out, you people are the immigrants, you foreigners, immigrants. And then he said, the natives of this land have no need to be afraid of these foreigners.
Yeah, now, the natives are doing that.
Sure.
And, you know, so now let's be clear. The challenge that our people have, first and foremost, is we have got to get better with identifying all the parties. And the first party you need to be absolutely clear of in terms of identification is yourself. Because if you don't know that you are the Native American, if you don't know that you are the only true American on this land, you know, I have been watching a lot of Ivan Van Sertima, and one of the things is so a lot of people don't know this. I didn't know it, but did you know that in 1987, I think it is, Ivan Van Sertima went before the Congress, gave them verifiable documentation right out of the mouth of Christopher Columbus that he didn't discover a damn thing. And that because of this, they removed from the congressional records that Christopher Columbus discovered anything. How many of us knew that? But here's some other serious piece of information that I got. It is documented that the so-called red people that they call Native Americans came here long after the so-called Africans.
Oh, they came before Columbus type thing, you're saying. Right.
As, now, do you know that the people that they're calling Africans is the Moors? And the people that they're calling the Native Americans is the red people. Now, they're saying that the red people came here long after the Africans, but the red people are the ones called Native Americans.
Good
How
point.
is that possible?
Good point. That's a bingo point. That's a bingo point right there. Right. That's a very good point. Like you're saying it. If it is known, and some of us know it too. They still want to be something they're not. Yeah, we were here before Columbus. Okay, so then why don't we call the natives then?
Exactly. We were here long before the red people, decades before Columbus, and you know, it's really amazing. The universe has been showing me some stuff, and I am definitely going to be sharing it with the people. But that piece of information, everybody is talking about all of these scholars. And I understand why Ivan Van Sertima is not, but you know what, later on in his life, he came flat out and said, the Moors did this. And if you really pay attention, he says, the Africans created, he said the Africans was here first. They were along the line. Then he says the Moors created algebra, geometry, air conditioning, all sorts of things that was created by the Moors. So it stands to reason that the Moors and the Africans are the same people. They occupy the same time frame. So you've got to know that you are the Native Americans. So in going forward, you must put in your documentation that you are a Moor Madrid Alaska with a political jurisdiction, Moorish American, national, Native American. That's your nationality. That's your bloodline. You got to know who the Native Americans are, and you got to know that you are the Native Americans. You are.
For sure.
So when you read this document, the true issue on the table is who is who? Who is who? Because what this is saying is you've got foreigners trying to make a national claim without saying it's a national claim against the national people.
Indeed. Foreigners. With that being said,
Go ahead.
No, I didn't want to cut your wisdom. I know you're about to go in.
Oh,
but
go ahead.
I wanted to add something on to what you said about the red man. The red men and the Romans are the same. You know, these are the Europeans, right? Because they got cooked by the sun. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. But I was reading in this book. It was a book I had sitting on the shelf for a couple years now. And I remember seeing something in there about Moors. I was looking for that and came across this at the same time. And I figured this would be interesting to share. The book is called, first and foremost, it's called True Story of Our Pioneers. And to be real clear, this is written by Europeans. So, like, there's some language that, you know, they switch it up a little bit. But the Europeans it was written by was Trumbull White, Augustus Lynch Mason, and John Clark Ridpath. These are all LLDs except Trumbull White. All right, and on page 485 of this book, I just find this interesting. This part of history, as far as, you know, Moors being the true Native Americans, though we had tribes, we did have tribes, but we have one nation, which all those tribes really fall under. And this is chapter 14. It says the sorrows of the Seminoles, right? And the European is quoting a Seminole. And this particular Seminole, this is why you have to be careful and do some more research on different images they portray of the native people here. Because you see sometimes they give them that real pale complexion and say this was a Native American. But you keep digging, you'll find, you know, you'll find facts different to that. You know what I mean? So it's this more of the Seminole tribe whose appellation is Osceola. And they always portray his image as like a paleo, you know, a European, modern European image. Like, you know, the image where they sunburnt and they're the red men. But this is what the European said that he asked himself. And it starts off chapter 14. This is Ocello, a Seminole speaking. Am I a Negro, a slave? Question. My skin is dark, but not black. I am a Seminole. Now, pardon the language, because you know these are Europeans writing it, but I'm going to quote this verbatim. It says, the white man, which we know in this context is the European. It says, basically, the European shall not make me black. This is what it says. Shall not make me black. I will make the so-called white man red with blood and then blacken him in the sun and rain, where the wolf shall smell of his bones and the buzzard shall live upon his flesh. Now, for me, I find it interesting. Why would a, quote, Native American be thinking and making the same argument, or not even arguing, but showing improvement, what Noble Drew Ali was saying, as far as we're not Negro, black, or colored? This man said, am I a Negro or slave? My skin is dark, but not black. So that also debunks the image that they portray of Osceola as a Paleo-European. These were Moors. And when he says, if the European man, I will make the European man red with blood and then blacken him in the sun and rain. I'm not trying to incite war, but this, again, is a story of our pioneers, page 485, The Sorrows of the Seminoles. It says, where it speaks about, I will make him red with blood, then blacken him in the sun and rain. You got to remember that black and bleach mean the same thing. So excuse me if I'm quoting from the wrong piece, but I think I'm right when I say it was religious freedom, when Noble Drew Ali was talking about Moors on different robes, and those sitting high on the pinnacle will watch their bones bleach for the last time, or something of that nature. Pardon me, you know what I'm talking about. That's caveat emptor.
Right. I mean, I thought of that too when you read that. I thought of that. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. That was a mantra. You know what I'm saying? Like, so bleach and black meaning the same thing. You have a quote Seminole talking the same thing Noble Drew Ali was talking. Same thing Noble Drew Ali was talking. They was trying to label everybody black. All the Moors from the Western and the Eastern Hemisphere. Or y'all just black. That was the slave code brand, if you will, the servant code brand, the peonage brand. So it's not like, you know, like they went everywhere doing this, you know, for the most part. But this perspective and information that is being transmitted and has been transmitted as far as Moors not being black is the same argument. Why is this the same argument that quote-unquote Native Americans were making? Chapter 14, The Sorrows of the Seminoles, story of our pioneers, Augustus Mason. That should be right enough to get you to research that for yourself. But I thought of, when you said the red men, the Romans, those are the true red men, red people. And we were here way before they got here, you know. So that was my correlation I wanted to share with you, the family, like, on that note. This man asked, am I a Negro or slave? And then answer this question, I am not, you know. So, yeah, that I yield the floor. Islam.
Islam. All right. Well, with that, what we're going to do, we have 16 minutes left to the live internet feed. What that means is the internet is going to go down at 11:30. If you are able to, you need to call 347-945-5899 so that you continue listening to the last hour. If you're unable to get in, you need to wait until after 12:30. Download the archive and listen to the last hour. So with that, if anyone would like to ask a question, have a comment, press 1 on your telephone dial and you will be placed in the chat room where we'll take the callers in the order that they appear. So let's see, we have one person in the chat room right now. Uh-oh, sorry, I spoke too soon. Caller 917-982. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexican. Caller 917-982. All righty. Maybe they pressed 1 in error. Caller 206-739. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexican. Caller 206-739.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is my first time calling in. I'm actually calling in on behalf of my husband. He had the Blog Talk Radio going, and he asked me to speak with you at the end of it. We were just leaving the grocery store, and we were surrounded by policy enforcers, and they just kidnapped my husband.
What they kidnapped him for? I mean, we don't have to say, but
He said he has warrants and took him in.
Say it again?
They said he has warrants. They need to straighten out him. I can tell you
How would they?
I'm sorry?
How would they? You were saying something?
Oh, I was going to say, my husband talks to you guys on a regular basis. I can give you his appellation.
Right.
His name is RVBey.
Oh.
Say that again?
RVBey.
What territory of corporate territory are you talking about?
I'm sorry? What was that?
What corporate territory or state are you near?
Oh, Washington.
RVBey. Is that RVBey?
RVBey. OMI.
OMI. All right. I would have to look that up.
Again, I know he didn't talk with me, but how would they know he has warrants?
Honestly, I have no idea. We had just left our house, go to the grocery store to get dinner. We walked out of the store. We were putting the groceries away in the car, and all of a sudden we were surrounded by them. Guns drawn, screaming and yelling at us. They took him to one car. They handcuffed me, put me in another car, and then they told me I was free to go, but they still took him. And he was yelling at me to make sure I listened to the end of the call so that I could get on the phone and talk with you guys.
All right, so what?
I don't have any knowledge of what I don't have any knowledge of that. Right.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about nationality or law?
I don't. I'm not well studied. He is, and I'm not.
That's the problem right there.
He has claimed nationality. I do know that.
Hey, what?
I'm sorry, you said what?
I said I know that he has claimed his nationality.
Right.
All right. Well, you're the one. You have to know nationality and law yourself.
Right.
Because you're the one that would have to write any documents or writs on his behalf. Being that he is kidnapped, you're the one that would have to write that. That's not what this is about. We're not here to write writs for people when they have the full ability to write it for themselves.
Right.
That's the challenge.
But that's not the only thing. We have no idea at all, what this is all about, and it sounds like neither do you. So
yeah,
it sounds like you have no idea yourself.
all I know is they said he has warrants and they took him away.
Warrants, you don't know what for, you don't know what it is.
Right.
I mean, no one can write anything.
I know that there was an old case and it was like something so stupid, and I can't remember exactly what it was for. Like it was like a failure to appear or something like that. Nothing that would cause what they did.
Yeah, well, that's what they do.
So failure to appear would result in a warrant.
But not a warrant so severe that they would surround us that way. They were following us for some...
Look, I'm going to tell you right now, these times are crucial in terms of finance. So,
right.
yes, they will come after you for a failure to appear because that is going to generate income.
Yeah.
Right. I know that he has declared his nationality, and he put a notice on the public record here in King County where we are, and I know that
the county record.
Wait a minute,
yeah.
King County, that's a corporation. So I don't know. He just notified a corporation of something.
Which might be why they're coming after him, because they know that he doesn't know, because we don't need to notify a corporation. And if I don't know what process he went through to do it, but it wouldn't have been what we suggest, because we don't suggest that.
But they have the issue. You're saying that he has some warrant for a failure to appear. What was he supposed to be appearing for?
A traffic violation.
Oh no, those are the easiest things to challenge.
Right, and he has been. That's the thing. I'm sorry. I'm very ill-educated when it comes to the law and whatnot. Well, he is very well. He's very, very, very well taught in it, and I know I probably don't sound like the smartest person speaking to you guys, and I apologize for that. I'm also a little bit rattled after what just happened too.
Well, I would say at minimum, you should know about the aspects of a warrant. Like, flashback real quick. Did they show you or him a warrant when they came up on him?
No.
All right.
There you go.
So now, they didn't show a warrant, but they said he had one.
Correct.
All right. What court issued the warrant? Was it a municipal court, superior court, Supreme Court?
I have no idea. Honestly, I think that this is a bigger issue than what they're saying it is.
Right. So my thing is this. What you should look into is, like, if that's your husband, in fact, indeed, like, you the next up to speak for him. And,
right. Yes.
You know, yes. Your foundation should be false imprisonment. You know, based off the fact you were right there and you saw everything that happened, how it happened, you should probably just write it down. Write it down how it happened. You was taking out your bananas from the trunk of the conveyance, and then you were surrounded by people with guns. You know what I mean? How it happened. And then they said that he had a warrant or whatnot, because the Constitution is to protect all true American citizens. So a false imprisonment in due process of law is still a false imprisonment. You need to start looking into what you can about false imprisonment. You know, Fourth Amendment.
And don't call them police. Don't call them police.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject. Don't call them police when you write it. They're strangers who were carrying guns. And like you said, Miss, they said you had a warrant, but if you look at the Constitution, it must be shown and attached to it must be the original complaint from the injured party that would have implemented it in the first place. That's what a warrant is. They didn't even show it. So you have to put that, you know, they were strangers with guns. And they kidnapped your husband is what they did.
Right.
And
okay.
If it was from a municipal court, you have to understand that's a municipal warrant. It's not a warrant of arrest. You know, he could have had a search warrant. You know, they could have had an arrest warrant, a bench warrant. Like, what type of warrant are they claiming that it is? Because if it's a bench warrant, that means it's a bank warrant. It's payable. You know, though you don't owe anything when you really get to it, but to keep it on the surface of what's going on.
Okay.
You know, you should, even if you just file like a little 3-page discovery. I mean, a little 2-3-page discovery. Well, yeah, really, 3 questions. You know what I mean? Really 3 questions, and you know, do you have a copy of the warrant?
Here's the situation. It appears that you're saying you don't even know where he is or who took him. Do you know who took him? I mean, who were these people?
I know the department that pulled up on us, but we have no. I know the department that pulled up on us, but the thing is that the department that pulled up on us has nothing to do with the department that he supposedly has this bench warrant for.
That's conspiracy
they report
against rights.
to each other. That's conspiracy. They report to each other. They send that out to all their other groups. Yeah. Like, in other words, This
was an issue than it was, because when I came home, I saw one of them leaving my street.
Mhm.
And so I'm afraid for him right now, because this is there's something going on that isn't right. You know, and they don't have the right to just be plucking, you know, human beings off the street for no reason anyway.
Yeah, they're killing them. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, yeah. Well, just get in action with that instead of the fear. You know, turn that into action and being active about inquiring and doing the lawful thing. Otherwise, you know, hey, you know, like you just said, this other place picked him up, but they could transfer him somewhere else, because that's what they do. That's extortion, really, but that's what they do. So they won't tell, you know, they probably didn't tell him what it was for or nothing. They just said, we got a warrant. Well, that's why they're supposed to show it. And like Ms. said, there's 2 or 3 different types of warrants. And that's why we're supposed to, you know, you're supposed to show it. But if you are aware that he has something with another place, but this is a different group of strangers picking him up, then you're not really sure where he is right now.
No, I don't. I have no idea where he is.
You just know that you can describe the people who kidnapped them. That's what you can do. And if they had badges on as employees from XYZ, or cars with a logo on it from XYZ, that they were traveling in such a car marked as such a whatever.
Right.
That's all you can do, because you didn't get anyone's name. So, you know, not that they would want to give it up anyway, but that's like protocol. So you really don't know. So you need to talk with the sergeant on, or communicate anyway, because you really don't know who picked them up, I think.
Right.
Or who kidnapped them. So that's kind of all you know.
Exactly. I'm sorry, I feel so rude. Can I ask you your name, if I don't even know it? Or appellation, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Well, you're talking to the host of the blog talk, which is myself, which is Rosalind Maya. Anna E., Midraim, and I think Sujo's still there.
Okay, yes. My husband has spoken to you guys several times. I've heard your names many times.
Yeah, that's who you're speaking with. You might want to email whatever you're going to do, not that, like, but, you know, if you need to further talk about this, because we probably should not do so on this line, you can probably just send MHHs Wide Open at gmail.com. And keep us abreast.
What was that?
MHHS Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com. MHHS is for Moorish Heritage and History School.
NHH?
M as in mother, H. Yes.
Okay.
At Gmail. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, sis.
Okay.
All righty. Let's see if 917. Caller 917-982. You are live on the air. Please state your application at Northwestern Exum. Caller 917-982. All right. Let's go to the next caller. Caller 310-406. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Exum.
Peace. This is Joel. Isai Joel Bay. I just am I clear? I have a new headset.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a Article 3, Section 2 relative question, and it's in regards to police and the authority that they fall under. So I've been studying.
Hold on. Police is. Is that what you're going to say?
Wait a minute. You're saying Article 3, Section 2 of what?
Article 3, Section 2 of the United States Constitution of 1791.
It doesn't have police in it. It doesn't have police in it anywhere.
No,
of course. But what I'm going to what I'm heading into is the pro warranto of jurisdiction that's sent out to them. Since they are of an administrative authority, the question is.
No. Hold on.
Or administrative law.
When you talk about administration, see, people get that confused. They think that where in the Constitution does it authorize an administrative law?
There isn't any, but it is synonymous with executive, which I've found is
No. Look, administrative and the word law, they don't go together. All right? Executive means that they have the authority to execute the law that is to protect the people. Their job is those laws are to protect the people. And the law says that as a public service, remember, Article 4 says that the states are supposed to be Republican forms of government, and that they are supposed to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion.
Right.
So when you talk about administrative, I already know where you're going to go. You're going to go into the land of corporations disguised as government.
Well, yeah. If that's what I'm saying is that the Article 3, Section 2 is for judicial to determine if they have the judicial authority. And when I send out the Article 3, Section 2 of Pro Warranto of jurisdiction to these police,
hold on.
What is it that we're asking them if they're not?
Can you step back from your mic? You're too close. Step back from your mic.
I'm going to take it off. Let me turn this off.
Okay. Yeah. Well, go ahead and read what you're saying, because Article 2, Section 2 is what you're saying, where you request a delegation of authority to show. Really, it's three things. It shows what they have judicial authority in terms of territory, or if they have it. They must produce it, meaning it's something that you look at, that you see, that you can touch. You know what I mean? It's not from their verbal. So it says that they have to produce it to, like you said, to see if they have any judicial authority. And at the same time, if you know who you're dealing with, you already know they don't have any, because then you go into what a court really is, and what a court really is, and what's an inferior court. And you know that if it's administrative court, they could never see. You could never ever be granted. There's case laws that these administrative courts, i.e., traffic courts and all of those other things, child support courts, all that stuff, any administrative court, it's a case law, and we have it on the site, that says that the legislator, which is not the state now, they could never even give them grants of judicial authority, that they are incompetent to receive them. So with you having that knowledge, you will request it because it's the protocol of law, but the reason why they don't produce it is because they don't have it.
Yes. So
that means that now hold on. To the police. And then there's a case law that says that if they don't have it, everything must be dismissed.
Yeah. So even
so in other words,
of course there is. Of course there. I'm actually, and the court is prior to sending a quo warranto to the court. I'm saying we're always advised to send a quo warranto of eminent jurisdiction to the traders, to the ones who have caused the damages to us. For example, like the young woman that was on the phone prior that said they were kidnapped, that her husband was kidnapped. In that case, the eminent jurisdiction quo warranto would be sent out to to those usurpers who have kidnapped them. Now, if they are, let's say, police or any type of quote unquote police, the Article 3, Section 2, to ask them for judicial authority, I mean, does that make any sense to ask let's say, someone who has the authority to execute the laws that are in place for a judicial authority? I mean, that's what the confusion is right now.
The only way that they could execute it is if they had judicial authority.
Okay, yeah, because I know the separation of powers. That's the only.
The only judicial authority they have is to execute the law that's already existing, not some new one that they made up yesterday. And when you go into what the law is, you already know that they have to have, first of all, the delegation of authority that even shows that they are, because the police are not government, nor are they a court, nor are they officers of the court. They're private employees for a corporation that go out on the highway as highwaymen and across travelers, which is what they just did.
So, here's another question. So, would it be, I don't know, would this make sense to send them I'm not sure how to put it, a request to see their, who gave them the authority to that.
You can't send them anything yet. You can't send them anything yet because she doesn't even know who they are. When they send to say you must appear at such and such court, that's a lie because it's not a court. Then she could say, well, where's your judicial authority, delegation of authority? Right now, those are private, they're stalkers. They're highwaymen. They're private security guards that just went out. And,
so she would first have to put out those affidavits to determine exactly who she's dealing with and put her in. Yes. So she would have to figure it out, send out the affidavits, and then once that summons to appear in court, she would have to then send the Article 3, Section 2 quo warrant. So and that's it's something that I had in mind and I have on my board here.
Yeah, well, remember who the police are. They're private security guards. They have no judicial authority, nor do they have any. They're not government. Everybody thinks they are, and they got away with it for generations. And now that everybody's realizing it, they're just rearing their ugly head and showing you who they really are. Because you now know law, you realize they're not law. So that is, where we are. But the flip side of that for them is that, oh my goodness, if we have to be lawful, then we won't be making any finance to feed our family. And so there it is.
Yeah. Okay. And also always see yourself as claimant and counterclaimant. I think that's what I've read in one of your your pages on RVBey publications. So
because like even if they write you a ticket, it's really a suit.
correct.
So you count on it. They're actually suing you for something that's not a violation.
Yeah, and if that same person who is saying that you are that you've broken some sort of law is the one who gives you the ticket, that'd be improper service. So yeah, there's many angles. That was just a question that I had in regards to relative to.
Yeah, but we just wanted you to be clear that the police are not in the Constitution, and that they are not officers, and that they are not government, and that they work for private corporations, and they're private security guards. I like to call them gangs, but, and that's who they are. And never forget that. And also, for you to be clear that if you send a delegation of authority request for their averment of jurisdiction, which comes to the Congress with a ratio, and it explains what kind of court they are, what subject matters they can and cannot hear, what territories they're over, if any. That way we don't have to argue with them about whether they have jurisdiction or not. As you just said in Article 3, that's what, is to be produced. So with that, you realize they're not courts. So they send out these private security guards to go stalk you down, stalk you, kidnap you, and then they with extortion as they have with this one, and then they summons you to a meeting room and they call it a court, and it's not. So they're the lawbreakers. Yeah. They're the lawbreakers all the way through. But what we have to do as people, and I don't like to say if, because if this was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. But what we have to do is enforce the law, the Constitution, which is the supreme law. And regardless to what the various different Moors think of this, that, and the other thing, that's what they have to get to. That's what we have to get to. And it's getting there. And they're getting, all they're really doing is showing who they really are and always have been. And then I think they're
exposed.
Calling the
I think they're
calling the bluff.
Yeah, they're showing it, but at the same time, it seems like the people are the ones who are exposing them. So who are what? As harder they work, the harder they work at trying to counter. What we're bringing, I believe that the deeper the hole that they're digging. So
that they're digging for themselves. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So okay.
Because remember,
I guess
all went back into the hands of the Moors. So we have to drop that dependent.
What was that? I'm sorry.
I said, remember, it'll all go back into the hands of the Moors. So we have to drop that. That concept that these people are government and that they're lawful. And once that happens and we enforce the law, that's how it's going to happen. As difficult as it may appear, it doesn't matter what it looks like.
All in due time. Well, I'll definitely yield the floor. Thank you for the time.
Yes.
You guys have a wonderful night. Peace.
All right.
All right, peace.
All right. Let's see. Caller 910-709. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest of Mexham.
This is Brother Ernest Manning Bay, Northwest of Mexham. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love.
All right. My question is, okay, we talked about earlier taking over some abandoned, just for an example, abandoned property, abandoned estate, abandoned land. Once we have done that, knowing we are in our proper persona, what happens when we get ready to deal with the other parts of the corporation as to get our lights and our water at this point in time where we don't have anybody, other than putting pump water down. But as far as electricity, how do we deal with those corporations in that term?
Contract.
Contract, okay.
So
that's what they give you.
Let's see, with the contract, okay, so we have to make our own contract.
Wow.
And that's a suggestion off top. You know, if you don't, I don't know, that's speaking from a perspective. I don't know, it's multiple perspectives. But, yeah, I mean, they can't deny you service type of thing.
Okay. All right. My second thing is, in lieu of the civil orders from the United States of America's boss, the Pope, how effective would the Archbishop be in a situation where this young lady just called about her husband, as far as, you know, he basically claimed civil war?
They gave him up. No, the Pope came and said, look, I wash my hands. Y'all were some foreigners. They've been giving them up for a year. What was that other document, the motu proprio? They've been cutting their ties to these crazy Europeans for a minute now. And this last one where they came and said, look, y'all are foreigners. See, this is why the Moors have to take their stand. You know, we worry so much about what they're doing instead about what we got to do.
We're doing, exactly. Okay, so the age of justice is up. Age of Aquarius is in, but we got to wake up in order to accept justice back into the age of Aquarius, so we can get them out of here.
Yes, and not everybody's going to make it. And he said, I can count on one hand who's going to make it. What that means is you, brother, from where you are, can probably count on one hand the people that you know got the cards head right. I might be able to count on one hand. People listening might be able to count on one hand, because not everybody's going to get it because they're still in the mental slavery. Or they're chasing after finance. These people actually thought they was doing some contract with these corporations, and they're going to get all this finance. They also went in to make the birth certificate voidable when it was void. It's not even voidable. It was void from its ab initio. But, so they're doing all these processes to make it void or voidable when it's already void. And that's the wrong concept. So now they got themselves caught up into contracts that they did not have before. And they're going to have a sad awakening if they ever are aware of that. But I mean, that was going to ask you, talking about the Archbishop, what is this? Is that people who are under the Catholic, the Pope or something? I mean, what's that got jack to do with the American land and American law?
Exactly.
What does? The Archbishop crap.
No, it doesn't.
No,
it doesn't. But that's also that falls under religion. And see, this country, like the Article 11 or 12, I believe, of the Barbary Treaty, states that this United States of America was not based on any Christian religion.
Sure,
it wasn't based on any Christian religion. But you got to know the history. The United States, in order for the United States to even, United States of America. Let me be clear and specific.
Exactly. Okay.
United States of America was not based on any Christian religion.
Obama said that.
That's right. Obama said that as well with his
Cairo.
It wasn't. It's not based on any, because this land is the land of the Moors, which is Islam. And Islam, a lot of people think that this is about religion. It's a religious fight. It's not a religious fight. It is a fight for the control of the minds of the people. And the original people that they wanted to control was the modern Europeans.
Okay.
But now the tables have turned. But the main reason that the tables were able to turn was because we as Moors were so busy fighting each other, and we still busy fighting each other. We're so caught up in trying to gather Federal Reserve notes or trying to gratify our ego in one way or another. These modern Europeans just got to sit back and wait for us to step in our own shit and slide.
Exactly. And the other thing, Brother Miz, I heard you say something earlier about giving an example about the marijuana situation. And I don't know what is the original name. Is it cannabis, hemp? Because I know marijuana is a jurisdictional term for the corporation, and we did. So
right.
you know,
weed is a generic term. There's multiple different types of weeds. You know, you got weeds that grow in your front lawn, etc. True. Hemp, exactly. Hemp would be accurate. Cannabis would be accurate. I'm not sure what references you have as far as marijuana being, you know, an inferior jurisdiction. You might be right. I'm just not sure of any of those references, you know.
Okay.
I personally don't have any, you know, that say that. If you could give me one or a few, I'll
Well, no, you just said that marijuana was a jurisdictional statement. That maybe you're saying it from the position, like for instance, cocaine, and I don't, you know, that's a cocoa leaf in South America.
Right.
When they package it up and they put it in little, you know, whatever like that. Now they're really cutting into a different, you know, jurisdiction. But if you were in South America, let's say, and you cut down the cane leaf, right, and you had it in the back of your car, it's not unlawful. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Right. So when he said hemp is definitely, because there's products that are made with hemp as well. And the rope is the biggest thing we use as a national product. Marijuana or hemp was actually, the hemp plant is actually a national product. And rope was one of the things. The strongest rope was hemp. So when they came in with the DuPonts who wanted to have a corner on rope, make a nylon rope, they made marijuana or hemp actually. Supposedly illegal, but everything that's legal doesn't mean it's lawful. Everything lawful is legal. So they supposedly made it illegal to cut us off from our own national product, and then they came in with rope, and they selling rope.
Exactly.
Now the question is this, right? Now it never was unlawful, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Never was unlawful. They made it illegal, right?
Illegal.
But
I remember that lawful and illegal,
Right.
Okay.
So hold on. Now mind you, any connections to herbs of the earth, this goes back to Christianity. It does, fam. It really does. We need to know this.
Right.
They was outlawing and banning. They was trying to ban the natural products from the earth to the point where certain things were considered illegal. With plants, and it wasn't just for, you know, consumption in their raw form. I'll give you an example. You go back during the Prohibition era, right, which was like early 1900s, where they were saying that certain alcohol was prohibited. And it was, but you have to understand, for example, that there were certain alcohols being made that were not being made for internal consumption. Example, Bay rum. Bay rum was made on the Atlantis Islands, 96 proof. It was never made for internal consumption. It was made as a concoction for different remedies that you would put on your skin, you know, for hair loss, things like that. But they were made from fermented bay leaves. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
the Christians considered that outlawed in witchcraft. You understand? Like, so it wasn't just marijuana. They was banning different fermentations from plants as well. That's really an aspect of the Prohibition era that they say was on alcohol, but don't really explain why, who was making it. You feel what I'm saying? Why was this coming from the Atlantis Islands, etc.? These were remedies, man, not for internal consumption. No different than you might use what they call today rubbing alcohol to clean. You feel what I'm like? These were used for different reasons. So, input in the ban on the marijuana, which was also from the earth, was actually them and when I say them, I do mean the modern Europeans who claim Christianity as a foundation of what they was about, what they personally were about, was considered outlawed, man. Like it really was. And it wasn't just that, because it had more qualities than what it's used for from a one-dimensional perspective of, oh, it's just used for that. No, what about the stalk, seeds, the medicinal purposes that go with it? You know what I mean? Exactly. So, again, do your history. Anybody who has a drug prescription today, you might know an aunt, uncle, grandparent, there's a mark on there called, and you see it, and even at certain drugstores, it says RX. The RX is Raxol. That's a European corporation established in the early 1900s with subsidiaries in sports and real estate and in what you call the medicinal industry. All right, why would that be that they have subsidiaries in sports, real estate, and the medicinal industry? Because if they could take over the natural remedies and then substitute it with artificial remedies, by the time you get sick, whoever their subsidiary corporation is dealing with real estate, so you're going to have to go to their cousins for things to get passed down. You know what I'm saying? This is what the RX is on these corporations who claim to be serving medicine. You feel what I'm saying? Like, no, we're not going to give you bananas. We're going to give you artificial potassium. We're not going to give you the herb smoke. We're going to give you a substitute. Or, you know, instead of cleaning your system out or draining out the mucus with salt and vinegar, we got a pill for that. Why? Because by the time you're in bad health and you're in the condition of, you know, basically you're about to die, got to talk to their cousin or their other family member as far as the property goes, or the real estate, the royal estate, the inheritance. These are all the same corporations. Know that for a fact. So there you have it. You know, they were outlawing the natural products to make an industry. So now, instead of getting some 96% bay rum made straight out of bay leaves, that's it, fermented bay leaves. Now, you know, to get certain concoctions for remedies, not internal digestion, consumption, but strictly for remedies, you got to get a lower cut of the quality mixed with other things. So that whole industry, and remember even too, with the Salem witch trials, all of these things, anything that was dealing with nature or cosmology in the relationship between the growth that exists in the universe and us here on the earth plane, they had to substitute themselves for. So there you have your vicar gods or your popes or your archbishops. They put themselves in the place of the obvious. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. In so many dimensions, so many levels. You know, it wasn't, like I said, man, it was not just the marijuana. Go back to them prohibition days and see who was actually manufacturing, you know, those alchemical liquids and for what purpose. Exactly. You know, and you'll see it's a whole different, aspect. It's no different than they make a lot of different chemicals now for you to clean with. You don't drink them, but they have their purpose. It's the same thing with the bay rum, fam, and the marijuana. So know the history, fam, and know who outlawed that. You know what I mean? And why they did. I mean, let's look at it. They outlawed sweat lodges because they said it was against the religion that they were seeking to overthrow. We're talking sweat lodges, even talking about an institution for prayer or a congregation in that fashion. Sweat lodges, man. was outlawed in the name of, quote, Christianity. Real fact. Real fact. So
that's deep.
I don't know, again, if you have any references.
No, I mean, it's just something that came to me because I noticed that. I mean, we talk about real law being jurisdictional, and in everything we say is going to be classified. You know, if we say the wrong thing, even down to the private corporate papers, you know, you don't even want to call it money. I mean, everything.
It's not. Not money.
It's not money.
Money is already defined. It's already defined in the Constitution, and it's not that.
Right.
Gold is silver.
And even that, and my fault, just one more thing. On the note of the earth goods, whether it be, you know, bay leaves, oranges, apples, what, you know, we call cannabis, sativa, marijuana, whatever, you know, if you even take it to ecclesiastical realm, it's right in Genesis 1:26 through 31, where, and I say this correlating with, excuse me, first of all, let me clarify myself. I'm not saying that anybody should or should not smoke weed. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm getting at the natural products that are produced from the earth naturally, you know, whichever herb you're talking about, the correlation with the universe, you know. But you look at what it says, even in that aspect of our Moorish ancient writings, specifically Genesis 1, but 126 through 31, where it says that the divine beings that was manifested in the sixth day, correlating with question 22 and 23 from the 101s, it says that man was given dominion over every herb-bearing seed.
Exactly.
Over every herb-bearing seed. So therefore, there goes again your substitute with the connection to nature. Now you got seedless watermelons, seedless grapes. You know what I mean? Everything is seedless. It was an attack on the divine level and the national level because it's divine and national. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just what
You're
it
right.
is.
I got you, Brother Miz, because I mean they've attacked our Moorish calendar to get our chakras out of place. You know, I'm with you. They've changed everything. They'll try to, and that was my last question. We are on the Moorish calendar. We will be in the year. Is it 1435 or 1429? Is it 586 years that they try to write in?
We go by 1435 because we go by the treaty, which proves the point right there at 580 years.
Okay. Good
Some
deal.
people say whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's all kinds of calendars,
I just want to be able to know, you know.
The real time is knowing where the planets are. The real time is knowing where the planets are in their movements because there really is no such thing as time. It's a cycle. So there's different calendars that could say, you know, a lot of different things. Yeah. That's why that's why it says let the solar stations be your guide.
So the earth is moving into the space.
Right in chapter 1, but that's chapter 1. But if you go to most temples, they'll say they probably didn't say nothing about astrology. It's right there in chapter 1. But
okay, look, we study, and we loving everything y'all doing, no doubt.
All right.
Okay. All right. Peace and love, family. Thank you so much, Miz.
No problem. Peace and love.
All right. Peace and love.
All right, just the last caller 901734. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexico.
Islam, Moor. Islam.
Peace and love, man.
Yes, this Tino out of Shelby County Corporation, Memphis. I called about 2 weeks ago. Got disconnected, and I was trying to reach out to network to someone in my area that's conscious, and I want to try to just connect with the Moors around my area, because up north there was a lot of conscious people, especially in New York. They have a lot of resources, and down south it's not that many down here. So I'm just trying to get with the right people so I can continue my studies.
All right. What is your email address? Because I have somebody in your area, but I need to give you their email address. What is your email address?
Okay. You want to say it live?
Hold on. This is what you do.
Okay.
Send an email. Send an email to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com. All right, and then I will forward the email to you. I don't want you to give out your email over live air, because who knows who you might get an email from. All right?
Yeah. But didn't the brother come on the line right after he hung up and said, "Yeah, I'm in that area"? Last week.
I know somebody came on after, but I know somebody, and I reached out to him in that area already, and they said that to just give you their email address. So if you send me your email address at MHHS-Eyes-Wide-Open@gmail.com, and just in the subject line put email for more Nair, Tennessee, and I will know who you are. And if you do it like in the next next couple of minutes, I'm in the email right now, I can shoot it to you.
Islam.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
All right. Peace and love. All right. Well, that concludes our broadcast for tonight. Catch us tomorrow, where we will be broadcasting live Moorish Heritage and History School near Harlem Corporation at Northwest Maxim at 7:30.
Yeah, but let's say what that's going to be about. Abdullah RVBey was talking about how the Europeans were the original Slavics, and he's going to continue. Were the original slaves, and he's going to continue with that. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So check us out tomorrow at 7:30. You will be able to listen to the class that will be going on live near Harlem Corporation at Northwest Maxim. And, of course, check us out next for Moorish Heritage and History School, Eyes Wide Open. Same time, same bad channel. Peace and love to you all.
Islam. Islam.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the biblioteca check that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most elite. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved the Slavs, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they niggered us right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, Lova, Tor, Marcus, Garvey, your ass. No, but you are leading, God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the and you don't want to know. Doggone inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That description, maybe, black or Moor or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Roz Mariah, Anna E, Miss Raheem, Todd Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland, listen to them speak. I done learned from the best, I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them, the whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. And I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.